Well, guys, welcome. Great to see everybody. This is the first real cold snap we've had since I've been here, and it's cold out there. But on a day like this, signing day kind of has a way to warm everything up. And obviously, as throughout the country, people are excited about, it's kind of a time of change. In other words, we've issued out some great seniors, some guys who have done some wonderful things here at Colorado State and really were a big part of accepting change and what it takes to have a chance to be successful. And I'm going to miss those guys. And yet part of what we do is now we bring a new class of Rams in. And we've got a good group of guys here to teach them what it is to invest in themselves, give of themselves, and affect the people around them in a positive way. And they're going to get this opportunity with this new incoming class. As we kind of look at the breakdown, of the guys, you've got some lists there in front of you. I would imagine, what'd you do, put it in alphabetically? Well, that helps me, right? As kind of how we kind of try to do this is we try to break it down, kind of big guys, the mid-skill guys, and then your skill guys. And, answering needs, I think one of the things that should probably pop out at you there should be probably, you've heard me talk a lot about explosive playmakers on both sides of the ball, whether it be in the secondary, whether it be in the return game, special teams, or whether it be on offense. And, one of the things going in, we really look to try to get some explosive athletic playmakers in some of those spots. And, I feel like with some of these guys, look, you guys are going to want me to anoint some guy as the next great whatever, all right? They ain't happening, okay? They ain't happening, all right? We're excited, and we recruited these guys because they fulfilled and met the criteria that we felt they had the opportunity to be successful at whatever position they end up. They've got good character. They're academically in line to doing what we need to do to accomplish them being successful for the rest of their life. And they're going to be valuable assets to our program. You wish every single one of them were going to be that. And yet they all have that opportunity when they get here. One of the things I get kicked, well, who's going to play? I don't know. I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. Last year, I think there's some crazy stat in there that the captain dug up that I think newcomers played in 110 or something games last year. I as a coach will never promise a guy that he's going to play as a true freshman or a new incomer, because I don't know. And I never determine playing time. Each individual is responsible through their actions, and let us know when they're ready to play. So, but coming in, I think as you look at it, we've got some guys that have some multiple skills. In other words, they played on both sides of the ball. They're multiple skill athletes that do other things other than just football. I think they can really help us in our return games and give us some options there. And as we talk about that, obviously you're going to see some secondary guys in there as well, and some guys that really had maybe done more offensive stuff, but really fit the criteria to be some lockdown guys on defense, and that's one of the things we need to get better at. In that mid-skill group, we brought in some guys that'll be here for spring ball at the tight end spot. Obviously, we lost some numbers at that spot, so we really feel it's important that we elevate that, and obviously bringing in Christian and Steven to help us in that spot. We'll see how that goes over spring ball, as we move forward there. And then, as we look at the big guys, Jordan Finley's going to have an opportunity to get a lot of reps now this spring because Sambo probably won't go very often with that shoulder that we had redone, just as a precaution for him. He'll be fine, okay? But, he's probably one of the least guys that need reps up front. We need to really reestablish that group, and I'm really excited to see where that group is right now and what they've been doing with Coach Kent and our strength staff down in the weight room, because you can see a lot of hungry guys that know now it's my opportunity. So that's what's exciting about that. But, you kind of talk about what we're looking for and how the numbers play out. Guys, we've got, in our current roster is still in transition in some ways. We've got a couple guys who, through some things medically that have happened, are going to chose to go ahead and hang up the cleats. Austin Gray, who did an outstanding job with us, obviously had to move from secondary to receiver, just because of some of that, and he'll obviously graduate here, and he's going to be sorely missed. And Thomas Kaufman had some things that kind of go on, and so where do the extra numbers come from? Just as you guys are trying to do the addition, right? That's where a couple of those come from, because those become immediate roster spots. With the addition of this group, I talked to you guys when I first got here about trying to create some balance within the classes, so you're not, sitting in that always turning over mode, okay? And, I just kind of did a little something as we kind of looked at it moving forward. With this class of freshmen, and then our redshirt freshmen, as we count the 5 classes, as we start, we're sitting at 23, 20, 18 at sophomore, 26 at junior next year. Now, some of those still have red shirts, okay? And then 13, no matter what, this is their last year of eligibility, okay, as we're moving forward. When you take over a program, obviously there is usually some attrition that occurs in some of those upper classes. As we move forward, I really look at that really kind of starting to balance out, which, looking at these numbers, makes me feel good about where we're at as far as consistently recruiting in that 16 to 20 number as we're kind of moving forward. So I can't, before I take any questions, tell you guys what a long trail this is to this day, trail that for next year has already started, as we just had our second junior and sophomore day, and have been on the phone with players already that have called in for next year's class. This never stops, okay? It never stops. And great programs, programs that are able to sustain, really never go a day without taking care of this part of it, which is recruiting. And we're really excited about the jump we've already made into next year's class and actually the class after that. So that's kind of how it operates. That's something we've brought here since we've been here. And I think we've seen it come to fruition with some of these guys that we've had relationships now for a couple years. And relationships is really what recruiting's all about. So, with that, I think I hit most of the things. And other than I know you're hungry and that pizza smells really good. Stu, nice job. Nice job, man. Appreciate that. Yeah, that's good. That's good. I like that. You can tell these guys, they didn't come to see me. All right? All right? So, but with that, we'll go ahead and take some questions.
You feeling better about the inroads you're making in Colorado? I think your first class you had really 3.
3. Last
year was 5. This year it's 6.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you and your staff are making better inroads and getting to the Colorado kids and getting them excited about Colorado State?
There's no doubt. And what we've been able to create is a buzz. When I first got here, guys, quite honestly, my reception was better in different states than it was in Denver, because there's a certain thought maybe or a stigma that they had stuck in their mind about what this place was all about. And what I have found already is guys wanting to jump on board. And where it was maybe a afterthought, now it's becoming a place to be, a point of destination. And, that's to the inroads our staff has made. Obviously, we go to every high school in the state of Colorado in the spring, and we touch every single school there is, whether it doesn't matter what they play, 11-man, 8-man, 6-man, it doesn't matter. And it's our responsibility, as I've said, is to try to lock the borders and know this is a place that they can be successful. This is a place that after graduation, the amount of graduates we have down in the Denver area is staggering, which can help them for their future should they want to, come back here and this is a place they want to live. And why wouldn't you, man? This is a great state and a great place to call home. So, a lot of those things are happening. Like I said, we've got a great jump on next year's in the class after that already, and we'll continue to do that.
Regardless of rankings, are better players listening to you?
No doubt. It's amazing. Now, we haven't gotten them, okay, but they're mentioning us. I'm getting at? So, to me, that's the step in the right direction. And then we'll flip it and get one of those guys and say, you know what, there's no need to go out of state. We've got what you need for you right here. But who's responsible for that? Not them. That's my responsibility. And as we continue to grow, as this university expands on a national scale, which we have, all of that makes it easier for some of them to say, kind of like I did when I took the job, when you might have asked me, why'd you go to Colorado State? And my answer quite simply is, why not? Because they've got everything there to be successful.
I think I saw a number, it said, I think 44 kids from Colorado signed Division I scholarships for football. You got 6 of them here.
Mm-hmm.
Do you like that ratio, or do you want to see that ratio improve?
I think, obviously you want it to improve. And yet, understand what recruiting is as well. There's certain needs you have to fill. So in a given year, there's certain spots that you need to answer for each class. But our deal is to go out and get the best players in the state of Colorado. And we're proud of the guys that chose to be part of our family this year.
You talked a little bit about balance. Are you getting closer? Because obviously when you got here, there were holes in the cupboard that you had to fill.
Yeah.
You saw that last year with wide receiver, maybe this year with defensive back. Are you getting to the point where you're going to be able to start recruiting the roster the way you want to?
You know what, and I see part of it too is obviously we had some guys that had to play last year as true freshmen that actually pushed themselves up into a class that was thin, from a eligibility standpoint, even though, their class rank's the same. Right. But so by doing that and pushing some of those guys and those needs, and I think it really shows guys ready to go. This is a place they can come in and play. And but will you ever get there? Guys, I'm not sure you ever get there in life. You always push to create balance. You always push to create consistency in everything that you're doing. But I feel really good of moving forward that we're not sitting there kind of having to take a huge bulk in one area.
It would appear that speed was a big factor of what you were trying to get to, just looking at some of these kids.
Well, shoot, do you watch us play?
You recruit more track meets than football meets. Did you guys spend a lot of time at track meets?
I saw a lot of these guys running by us. They just weren't in our jersey, So, yeah, I mean, that was something I think we needed to do. And the one thing I like about multi-sport guys a little bit, no, not a little bit, a lot of bit, is they're willing to put themselves out there. And when you think about track, man, you can't look around and blame that on anybody. I always get a kick out of these guys. Well, I run 4.3. Well, good. What are you doing track? Well, no, I don't run track. What? How about showing how fast you are? And in this case, we've got some guys that aren't afraid to go out and show how fast they are and go compete. And, one of the keys to success is the willingness to put yourself out there and compete.
And you have speed on the offensive end. You have to have guys to block for them. I feel like losing 4 4 stars on the offensive line. You guys got what you needed to really build. 'Cause they're not usually not guys who come
Yeah.
the right way and make.
I think time will tell. You know, usually, guys, it's a little easier for a skill guy maybe to play earlier because it takes the development from size and all nutrition and strength and all that stuff, you know, for the other guys. And we've had some, I think, some quality guys here in our program that we have been able to do that with because of the guys that we're starting. So, you know, I mean, when you look at it, is it a panic? No. Shoot, no. We've got guys here ready to compete, and it's time for them to play. You know, we reached out. I think we answered. We needed Jordan to get in here for this class, you know, this spring. You know, it'll be interesting to see, you know, how he adapts and competes for a position. And then, you know, moving forward, obviously, I feel good about the guys we have here. But to say they're going to replace 48 starts of Weston Richburg and 24 apiece or whatever, the 2 guards, and 30 whatever it is of the I'm not sure that you can just come in and replace that. But what that does mean is maybe some people in some other areas need to pick up the flag a little bit and move forward.
So a lot of feel like each year you get a couple just to really, I guess, groom them to be ready when that time comes.
Yeah, and that's what you hope happens. I mean, if you're having to play a whole bunch of guys early, you know what I mean? Unless they're just true fire breathers and glass eaters, right? But look from a historical standpoint when Sonny really had it rolling. Okay, let's just look at us right here. I mean, you're talking about a guy, some of those guys that didn't play until they were juniors, right? Or they might have played significant roles on special teams, but really, you know, didn't become a household name until they were juniors and seniors, right? That's what great teams do, because you build competition at each position. And, you know, when I look at that, I think some of these young guys that went ahead and competed for playing time early, you know, that helps you as a team when you got competition at positions.
You haven't had a lot of time to prove it to you, but do you see elevated leadership coming from Ty Sambrelo to kind of help, you know, integrate all the new guys that you have on the line?
Yeah, he's been doing an unbelievable job of leading with his right arm because his left one's in a sling. but no, he has already elevated, and we've talked about this, and look, leadership cannot be forced. That's one thing that once you try to force leadership, you either have it or you don't, okay? And each one of us choose how we're going to affect the people around us, whether we're going to affect them in a positive way or whether we're going to bring them down, right? Ty knows the importance of those other spots, and he's built a great relationship with the guys that are now going to step up and play. From what I understand, they've already been up here working on cut-ups, and he's kind of been the Pied Piper. And, you know, to hear that kind of tells me he's ready to step into that role.
When you look into the recruiting class, one of the first things you said when you got here was where all the big guys were, and defensive line was definitely a need. You only signed 2. Is that saying that you feel really comfortable with the depth and the guys that you brought in years past? You didn't bring in a JUCO guy there for the first time this year? You know,
I feel good about our depth there. I feel good about the quality there. Some guys that haven't played yet, but now we're in their second year, now headed to their third year maybe in the program, that have got there physically and are ready now to take the step to play a ton. And, you know, with the offenses today, as we've talked to, that's a spot you need depth because you want to be able to rotate those guys in and out. You know, I still go back, and I'll hold this for the rest of my life, the 114 snaps that Lanston Tanya had to play in one game. I'm sick to my stomach that had to occur, but that's where we were. So hopefully we won't ever get to that again.
What did Coleman Key become?
Coleman?
Yeah.
You know, this is a guy that's got, I'm excited. I mean, I'm not trying to hold back on that. He's a guy that committed to us early. I think our offense fits what he is and what he's capable of doing. He did a great job of making sure to find the place that is going to really accent his skills. I like the fact, like I did even with Nick, multiple sport guys, man. I at that position, you see so many of them now, or all they do is travel around to Elite 11s and go to quarterback camps or whatever, and they can throw the heck out of it at a target, all right? But when it's time to compete, understand situations, understand what it is to do different things, that's where it gets lost. And that's what I really like about Coleman.
How do you keep all those guys happy? Because last year you were excited about Nick Stevens, and he was in the competition to play to start, and then Garrett ended up winning that role. So you have to say.
I let them come eat Karen's cooking. they love it, man. They're the happiest dudes in America.
Right.
But each one of them know that, and at that position, as you guys have seen in the game of football now, having just one's not enough. Garrett made it through a season, right? It doesn't happen all the time. You know what I'm getting at? And then still to create the competition that's needed for those guys to be successful. Because once you think that you got it, sometimes you take a step back. And, I don't think you can have enough good quarterbacks on your roster.
Jim, in an ideal world, would you have had a couple more offensive linemen, another defensive lineman or two in this class? Did it just kind of work out that way?
Yeah, it worked out. As always, we're recruiting guys, and yet at the same time, I'm really comfortable with where we're at. I was concerned a little bit with getting a pass rusher. That was one of the things. Cover corners, dynamic pass rusher, somebody that can change. Shaq Barrett. That guy. Corey's got to step in, but now where's the guy after that, right? You see what I mean? That was a concern. Getting Jordan here, I felt good, about it at the O-line spot, knowing what we had, and more competition maybe have been better, but I sure feel good about where we're at there.
First couple of recruiting classes you had, you did say, a couple of these guys are going to have to come in and play. That's one thing you have not said today.
Yeah.
So is that not the case? Does that say you feel more comfortable about your roster and the depth that it has now, to whereas you're not looking at these guys have to come in and make an impact?
Here's what I like about our guys right now. I like where they're at, not as a team necessarily, but at peace with themselves. Okay, I like how committed they are, not only to the game of football, but really the game of life and their teammates, and what they've become outside of just a football player. And guys, when you talk about success and what is success, there's certain building blocks that have withstood time. Okay, technology changes, right? Clothes style changes, music changes, but to be a success and be successful in life, okay, don't talk about football, because if you're able to create and have balance in your life in the different things that it takes to be successful, then you don't have the clutter in your mind that you take to the field. And now you got a chance to hit it. And, whether some of these guys come in and play right now, I don't know. Time will tell. There's some good skill here. I know when our guys look at the clips of who we're bringing in, there's a little elevated work in the weight room, That's a good thing. And that's really what it's all about. But I'm really more excited about how our guys are looking forward to accepting this group into the family and teaching them the Ram way.
But don't you feel better that you're not saying, like last year, we had to have one or two of these wide receivers come in and play?
I'm glad Richard was here,
Right.
and I'm really glad X is here, and Elroy's going to be a really good player, and Sammy is going to make some plays. I'm excited about those guys.
But what, I guess my point is, you're not saying that somebody on this list has to come in and fill a spot that you have. You feel like you've got, if they do great, that makes your team
Yeah.
better because it's a surprise.
You know, I think where that'll tell us a little bit is in spring ball. You know, I think that's probably going to be, you know, as guys compete for jobs. In our spring practice this year is not going to be anything from a schematic thing that's going to be earth-shattering, but it's going to be blocking and tackling. It's going to be taking the correct step. It's going to be the fundamentals on how we succeed on the field. And, you know, I'm sure there'll be some, I hope one of these guys can come fill that spot, you know what I mean?
Right.
But I'm not in, I guess, to answer your question, in that panic mode, which I might have been, knowing that there's a position where we absolutely have to have one of them play.
Like Jai Jones, who
Uh-huh.
says he's going to come to you, does the same thing as better guys.
Mhm.
Commits all. Then the spot's open for me. Is there any hesitation that you really want to go after this guy again?
You know, Jayaz comes from a great family, man. I love his dad. Guy's awesome. Angius is a great kid, man. He just made a choice that, you know, that's what he did. And, you know, I'm excited he decided to come to our family. And he knows the value of it. And, you know what? I think that should maybe tell you something. I'll let you read into it.
From your perspective, if you had a magic wand and you could be dictator of the NCAA for the day, how would you change your recruiting process, if at all?
You know, guys, they have really limited the time that the head coach can spend. You know, they took us off the road in spring, which is beyond me. That because, you know, we can. There's certain guys, not me, but there's certain guys in this profession that can really help the game of football, and by being out there, being at the high schools, and you know, that's something that I think. You know, it's pain, right? But God dang, that's what we do. You know, we want to get out there and evaluate guys and see them, and you know, I think the other thing that, you know, they've limited time. Okay, and I get that, believe me. But at the same time, they've limited the time so we don't get an opportunity to really get to know the true character and the true person, like you were maybe able to do when it was lengthened a little bit. I'm actually an advocate of the early signing date. I think it helps the guys that know who they are go ahead and get a visit in the summer and boom, knock them off the board in December, right? And you know, I think there's some of that, because what ends up happening is, you know, it goes late like this, and then all of a sudden, you know, there might have been some instances where, you know, in our case, people came out and came down and cherry picked some guys, you know, that after they lost some guys, you know what I'm saying? And yet, I think it would help some of those really high recruited players. I mean, what they got to go through, guys, is we all think it's fun and dandy that they get to throw a hat on or whatever, but you talk about a grueling experience. I think that could help. I really do.
But you know, we saw at ESPNU today, guys putting on hats on national TV. Does it become a little much?
I think it has. I really have. I do. And yet, I understand selling airtime. And so, but the pressures that are on these guys, you know, I think the early signing period would help some of that. You know, I think getting us out on the road just does nothing more than help the game of football. And I guess I can understand why they did it. I really don't know, to be honest.
Is part of that what a guy does his senior year at that point is the big deal. You've already got the relationships. You've already got an idea who you're after. That senior year of high school football may not matter so much.
Yeah, and how many guys have we seen now that do this early stuff too, and they tank their senior year? You know, that's a bad deal. You know, it's a bad deal for the high school coach. You know, oh, I already got mine. The heck with this. I'm saving myself, right? You know what I mean? But at the same time, I think that would clear some things up for a lot of people.
What are you telling kids now when you're recruiting them about the stadium situation moving forward?
You know, it's. I haven't heard anything but go, and you know, we've got things to show. I'm excited for it. I'm excited for what it's going to do to not only help this university, but this town and this community and the whole region. And you know, when you show this campus, man, there is some beautiful things going on, and there is a ton of building going on. And what that tells you is this university is moving forward. I mean, you go over and see that engineering building. You've been in it, and that thing's cool. You know, the new dorms that we're building on campus. I mean, I didn't live in one like that. I know that. You know, I mean, there is some unbelievable stuff going on, and you know, this is just another piece to that puzzle that really shows what direction this university's going.
Jim, how much does success in other sports help you?
Oh, it's immensely. You know,
Whether the basketball team
you
is
know
doing well.
what Larry did last year. I mean, shoot, guys, it's a 3.5-hour commercial or whatever it is, right? I mean, and all it does is see Colorado State. You know what Hilbs has done. You know, with the consistency of winning. You know, that just breeds success throughout. What Ryan's doing right now, I mean, 19 threes the other night. Was that what it was?
Yeah.
I mean, it'd take me 3 days right now to hit 19 threes on air. You know what I'm getting at? I mean, that stuff is in. And let me tell you one of the great things about being the head ball coach at Colorado State. The relationships that you get here with the other people in the athletic department. You don't necessarily get that everywhere else because you're stuck off somewhere else. And if there is not, I tell you what, we had, would have been Thanksgiving this year, and, you know, who rolls over but, you know, Larry and Barnesy and Hilbs, and, you know, we had a family dinner sitting there at the table, just talking about life, talking about ball, man. It's, to me, that's what it's all about. And that's what really, when guys come onto this campus, they feel it. They feel the camaraderie. They feel the people pulling for each other. And that's really, guys, what makes this place something special.
How much stress was taken out of your life by getting all of your letters faxed in by, what was it, 9/14?
It helps. There was one that, you know, I guess the guy, we had one that school was in lockdown, okay?
Who was that?
I'm just, I don't want to do that. But you know, I mean, you're talking about, you know what? Last time I checked, there weren't any schools in Fort Collins in lockdown.
Yeah.
So, it's to get it done early is awesome, and now they're even going to make it a little better, where I think you can start to get the electronic thing over the email, right? You know, or whatever. You guys are probably
fax
better,
machine's about to
probably
go
better
bye-bye.
than I. And I don't have to have dreams about no paper in the fax machine.
No toner.
No toner.
Deidre took care of that.
That's right.
She had it in.
Jim, I know you were at some junior days, but how quickly is this 2014 behind you and, I mean, pure focus on that?
You know, it was actually, believe it or not, a little bit behind me, probably January 15th, I think, or 14th, something like that, where it was kind of, you know, I knew there was here and there, but for the most part, it was done. And I think the relationships that we're building with the people, you know, moving forward for the next 15, 16 class, you know, it's really where your focus is all the time is in the future. And because I'm bound and determined to build something here that's going to be solid for a long, long time to come. And that's where the recruiting piece comes in.
When you say pretty solid by January 15th, it was more a matter of you kind of knew then if this, then that, because
Yeah.
obviously 3 or 4 of these guys committed since then.
But we also knew if that one moved,
Right.
this piece, this chess piece moves here, you know, that kind of
You
stuff.
had it all mapped out.
Right.
That's what you meant by just having.
Right, and I
or
don't
even those
think-
last minute type things. Not that you had a bunch of them, but I
Yeah.
think there were a couple.
I'll tell you something that should probably tell you something too. I think, and look, I hate to even give the numbers, but you're allowed 56 visits, right? We didn't even come close to using that. You know what I mean? So what that tells you is when guys get here, they feel it. They want to be part of the family. And, you know, that really helps you. Helps you financially for sure. You know what I mean? But it really helps you when you're, I guess when you start to think, what are we doing? Well, obviously we're doing something right.
Have you ever been at a school that's gone the other way? You run out of your allowable visits and
Oh,
you're
yeah.
still trying to get guys?
Oh, absolutely. And that's usually when things aren't going so well.
Numbers wise, at least we're gonna have to go Frazier.
You know, yeah, there's some of that option in there, no doubt about it. And some of the guys on this list are already admitted and have paid their deposit to go to school here. Okay, so you know that's how we can talk about it. And so who those guys are, I don't know yet. You know, time will tell. I know kind of the spots we're going to have, and then guys, that's where spring ball, you know, ends up kind of answering that for you. Just like last year, you know, I think in August, we brought Sally in because we had an extra spot late, Willie, you know what I'm saying? And yet that could be, you know, one of these guys, you know, I don't know yet.
Do you know about how many will have maybe not come next year?
I don't know yet, you know what I mean? And I'm not avoiding it. I don't have a number, and I'd hate to give you something and then you come back and say, well, you said, you know, this right now, God dang it, what the heck's going on, right? Well, I ain't gonna do that, all right? You good with that? All right.
Something you don't have to worry about till August, correct?
That's right.
But all these guys on this list did not necessarily sign letters of intent.
Correct.
Some of them are just, okay.
Financial aid agreements or, you know, admission to the university and who we want here. You know what I'm getting at?
Yeah.
And so that's, I figure rather than, let's go tell you who they are, rather than you're going, well, hey, I heard this guy was coming. You know what I mean?
Do you still have room for a couple guys if you wanted to fill in, maybe an offensive lineman that you lost later?
I think we do, all right. That probably I won't be able to answer that until kind of spring, you know, to be honest. And guys, we got some other guys too that are still nursing some injury things, you know, that we've got to see how they can function, you know, come spring ball.
You mentioned earlier when we talked to you after the end of the season with that press conference that Joey O'Connor might be walking away. I heard rumor that it's possible he's going to stick around and try and give it a go in spring. Is he still on roster?
Joey, he's not on roster. He's back in school.
Okay.
He's and I'm really excited. Joey's going through some things that you know what, it's hard. It's hard, and obviously that injury he had was something that was, you know, tough to overcome, especially when you've never been hurt. But he's back in school at 18 credits right now, on his own, working. You know, if he can rally back, and you know, I'm here for him, and this family's here for him, and we're going to help him in any way we can.
So it's still maybe not. He might be participating in spring ball. Or
He won't participate in spring ball. No.
Earlier today, Ty Sambrello tweeted, "It's all puppies and ice cream until you sign that piece of paper." What do you think he meant by that? Just the comment on the workload, maybe?
That's exactly right. It's you know, this is a hard deal, man. It is a true commitment and a year-round commitment to achieve success and excellence in what you do. And I think in his terms, you know, here's a guy that's sitting there in a sling right now, probably figuring out how to sleep in that recliner, right? And, you know, all the things that you go through. I'm sure he had some reflections when he was recruited and then got here and said, oof, these guys work pretty hard, right? Anything else?
What was Tom Kaufman's issue injury wise?
He's, yeah. It's not good. All right?
That's a
Okay,
very
good.
nice looking tie.
Thank you.
Tell Lizzie she did great.
Well, guys, I appreciate that. I do. And whoever we play for our Orange Out game,
You'll be wearing that?
I will be wearing this walking down the Ram Walk. There's no doubt about it.